Welcome. We live in a world that's all about data, right? And when it comes to data, accuracy is everything. From predicting the weather to getting the most out of our farmland, we depend on these tiny little sensors out there, working 24/7 in all kinds of conditions. But have you ever stopped to think about what's protecting them? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the crucial and honestly often overlooked technology that keeps all that data reliable, the humble sensor enclosure.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. Why is this so difficult? I mean, it's just a box, right? Well, not really. The problem is, these sensors are under constant, relentless attack. They're getting baked by the sun, pounded by rain, sandblasted by dust, you name it. And if that sensor fails, the data gets corrupted. And that can lead to some really bad decisions and wasted money. It's a massive engineering challenge.
And just look at where these things have to live. We're talking about some of the toughest environments on the planet. From a lonely hillside to a monitoring station out on the water, in places like these, the housing isn't just a container. It is the first and most important line of defense. If that shield fails, the data inside is completely worthless. So how do you build a better shield? One that can actually stand up to all that? Well, it turns out the secret isn't just in the physical design, but in the actual material the housing is made from. This is way more than just a piece of plastic. And wow, this picture says it all, doesn't it? This is the proof. On the left, that's your standard ABS plastic after it's been sitting out in the sun. It's yellow, it's brittle, it's basically toast. But on the right, the housing made from a material called ASA, well, it looks brand new, still perfectly white. So what's the magic here? It all comes down to the science of the material. That one on the right is ASA, and it's a type of plastic that's been specifically engineered to live outdoors. It's anti-radiation, which means the sun's UV rays don't break it down. It doesn't warp in the heat, and it offers a way higher level of protection against dust and rain than the cheap stuff. And what all that really means is that this thing is built to last. We're talking about a housing that's designed to do its job day in and day out for a decade, or even more, even in the absolute worst conditions. Now, that is a huge advantage when you're counting on that data year after year. But a tough material is only part of the story. The innovation goes way beyond just the plastic itself. The physical design of the shield is just as clever, creating a smarter, stronger defense against the elements. And this is where the engineering gets really cool. See those little slots, the louvers? Each one has this special double rim design. It's this ingenious little feature that lets the air flow through freely, which you absolutely need for accurate readings, but it physically blocks dust from getting inside. So important for places like farms or industrial sites. Now, a design like that earns the enclosure what's called an IP65 protection rating. Sounds technical, right? But it's actually pretty simple. The 6 means it is completely 100% dust tight. Nothing's getting in. And the 5? That means it can take a direct hit from a powerful water jet from any direction. Basically, you can throw almost any kind of weather at it and it'll be just fine. And they didn't just stop with the outside. The inside is just as thoughtfully engineered. There's a dedicated mounting plate in there to make sure all the different air and gas sensors are locked down tight. This protects all those delicate little components from getting rattled around, which again, makes sure your measurements stay accurate. Okay, so we've got this super tough, smartly designed physical shield. But that's only half the battle in today's world, isn't it? A modern sensor has to be connected. So let's look at how this thing works as a really versatile data hub. And this diagram just lays it all out perfectly. You've got the data starting at the sensor, inside the box. From there, it goes to a wireless module, which then sends it out over the internet. And finally, it lands right where you need it, on your web browser, your phone, or your tablet, all in real time. And this is where the system gets really flexible. Just look at all the different ways you can get that data out. You've got everything from standard cellular options like GPRS and 4G, all the way to those awesome long-range networks like LoRa and LoRaWAN. It means you can make it work with pretty much any setup, anywhere. What's also really cool is that the housing itself is modular. It's kind of like building with Legos. You can start with a basic 4-layer setup, and then if you need to add more sensors later, you just stack on more layers. You can go all the way up to 20 layers deep. It's a system that can literally grow with your project. And of course, it's built for how we do things now in the world of IoT. The enclosure is designed to hook right up with solar panels for power and with wireless collectors for data. This is what makes it perfect for those truly remote, off-grid locations where running cables just isn't going to happen. All right, so we've got an incredibly tough material, a super smart design, and all this flexible connectivity. So where do you actually see these things in action?
Let's take a look at some of the real-world applications. Well, the short answer is they're used pretty much anywhere that having accurate data is an absolute must. We're talking about everything from big meteorological networks that forecast our weather, to smart farms, to monitoring the air quality in our cities. Any field where bad data is just not an option. So whether it's out on a farm helping a grower optimize their crop yields, or it's on a riverbank giving scientists critical data for their research, this is the technology that's working silently in the background, making sure the numbers we all rely on are spot on.
So at the end of the day, the big takeaway is this. A well-engineered sensor enclosure isn't just an accessory. It's not just a plastic box. It is a foundational piece of your investment. It is the shield that stands between your sensitive instruments and a very hostile world, and it guarantees the quality of your most valuable asset, your data. And that really leaves us with one final